overhead squat is key to developing proximal stabilization and control over a huge range of motion. It drives an athlete's balance, proprioception, and functional flexibility. As you can see here, the athlete develops optimal motor control and flexibility to perform the movement. This includes an efficient squat depth of at least 90 degrees with the torso remaining upwards. The shoulder joint, torso, hips remain in line with each other, and the neutral in spine and head is achieved. This requires excellent motor control and mobility. However, poor overhead squat technique prevents an athlete from transferring power from the large engines of the hip and shoulders to smaller joints. From this example, one can see the athlete is struggling to perform the movement. This could be due to an unfamiliarity with the skill and a lack of motor stability. This can be seen by an excessive forward lean to compensate for the inability of performing the skill correctly. The lack of stabilization of the torso, as you can see as he attempts to get lower, he also increases the flexion of the lumbar spine. Finally, one can see a lack of balance and proprioception to control the movement. The athlete tries to complete the movement as quickly as possible rather than a controlled and stabilized approach. From a motor control standpoint, the ability to maintain an upright torso is very important. Otherwise, there is a dangerous force dumped onto the shoulder and lower back. In addition, as you can see, it prevents the athlete from achieving full depth, as the pelvis runs into the femur, causing a pelvic fault and lots of anterior translation and shear forces to the knees and shoulders. Often a beginner has a difficult time understanding how to organize the movement and pitches forward to unload the glutes and shoulders. Exercises to improve motor control include TheraBand work. Exercises like these require a posterior pull on the band to remain upwards, which activates the back musculature, including the lats and erector spinae, while holding the band permits locking and stabilization of the shoulders while maintaining an upward torso. One can also use the band like so to resist and assist the overhead squat movement. It is vital to improve the athlete's understanding of stability and control in order to improve technique. Contrastly, a restriction in capacity may also limit movement. Here, the athlete on the left-hand side is struggling to achieve optimum squat depth. However, he does seem to be able to maintain a higher upward torso compared to our first athlete, which seems that it may not be a motor control issue. Yes, it is clear that this lack of depth is due to a physiological capacity. The athlete on the left only achieves 111 degrees of a hip to knee angle, while as you can see on the right, this guy is showing a much greater improved technique of he's getting his quads parallel to the ground. This lack of overhead squat depth could be due to a series of over and underused musculature. For example, probable overused muscles that need to be stretched may include the soleus, the gastrocnemius, and the hip flexor complex. While underused muscles that need to be strengthened may include the gluteus maximus and erector spinae, as they cannot produce enough force to produce the movement effectively. The ball squat can be used to target muscles such as the glute max and erector spinae, while it can also be used for beginners to improve neuromuscular control. The ball can assist with the athlete to maintain an upwards position while achieving efficient squat depth. Likewise, the Bulgarian squat can also target the glutes max and strengthen them to withstand and produce enough force to achieve optimum technique. With respect to mobility, the ankle dorsiflexors may also inhibit the overhead squat depth performance. It is important to stretch these overused muscles in order to release the tensions within them. It is also important to stretch the hip flexors and adductors in order to improve physiological capacity. A consistent amount of dynamic and static stretching for these tight muscle groups will help free up the overused muscles. It is recommended that the athletes go beyond ranges of motion that they have previously experienced in order to achieve maximum capacity. To conclude, one could argue that the skills and capacities of a movement are interlinked and that they heavily influence each other. Sometimes it is down to the athlete not knowing how to fire the muscles appropriately rather than the capacity of the athlete. It is common that an experienced athlete will have the required motor control and therefore may be restricted due to capacity issues. All in all, it is important to consider both skills and capacities to improve the technique of the overhead squat.